Well, good day to everybody out there. This is Cam coming to you again from the Crappie Hole. This time, what I thought would be good, guys, if I slow it down a little bit, because if you view all of my previous videos, you can see that we're obviously catching crappie in the summertime. Okay. Today is August 16th, August 17th. We're in the middle of August, so we got a couple of more weeks coming before we hit September. So I wanted to just kind of recap everything of where we are, what I'm using, uh, getting ready for October. Okay, that is ultimately what I'm trying to do to prepare people to get ready to dust off those crappie rods and the ultralights and get ready as the temperature starts to drop in the water. When it starts to break 70 and even 69, that's when the crappie will really start. Now, a couple of things I want to go over real quick. I want you guys to know in the summertime, you're not going to catch 30, 40, 50, 60 crappie in the summertime. Okay? At least not on this lake, possibly on other lakes. But generally in the summertime, you have to think of crappie sort of like you do yourself. When it's too hot, you're not outside ripping and running. You're trying to stay cool. Okay, you generally sit down, you kind of relax, and whether it's in conditioned air or whether you're just kind of relaxing in front of underneath a fan. That's the same thing with crappie. Okay, when the water temperature gets too hot, they have a tendency they don't want to chase bait. You've literally got to put that bait right in front of them, and that's the whole point of why in the past videos why we're sitting so still, why it's important that the wind's not blowing. That because that minnow has got to stay in that strike zone because they're not going to chase anything. Okay, now a couple of things I want to prepare you guys for the next coming 5, 6 weeks when we hit October, and it could be a touch earlier than that depending on where you are geographically across stateside. Um, the temperature could drop faster in some areas of the country than others. But once you start breaking that 70 mark, 74, 73, 72 in the 60s, and even coming down, crappie are going to start putting their feed bags on, okay? What you're generally going to find is the males will come in first, the smaller ones, okay? The smaller crappie will come in first. The big ones, they're generally laying low, relaxing, okay? You may run across one or two of them as you saw in some of our videos, okay? So you want to catch quality crappie in the summertime. And I've had a few people to ask me the question, they wanted me to shoot a longer video. Well, when it comes to post spawn, I will, because the crappie are biting left, right, left, right. You can pull in 10, 15, 20 of them without a problem, okay? And I will be shooting longer videos. But my main thing right now is to cover again Crappie Hole 101. We're going to call this the tutorial corner, all right? So what I want to cover is the basics of crappie fishing. I want to make sure that everybody knows from my past videos and reiterate exactly what we're doing. Now, you remember that I switched to a smaller hook. Okay, I'm going to go from the scale on the hook that I was using, which was a 2. Okay, it was a cam action 2 hook. You can see it from here. Okay, this is a cam action. Okay, you see how it's bent? It generally torques toward pressure. That's what I was using here in the heat of summer. However, in some of the videos, you notice that I was losing some of the fish. Okay, I had to sacrifice a little bit. I went down to a smaller hook, but you have to understand the crappie that we're catching, 11 and 12-inch crappie. So their mouths are very, very, very big. Okay, they're somewhere around here. So this little hook doesn't really do too much, and that's the reason why I was losing a lot of fish. Now, spring, this is the hook that I was using. I was using a 1 hook. Okay, and I'm going to show you the size difference so you can see both at the same time. I don't know if you can get a good shot of that, but that's the difference in what I was using. The shank is longer and the spread between the hook is wider. So I had more success with this hook, but I hooked more fish with the smaller hook. The reason why, in the summer, the water temperature is 87, 86, 88 degrees. They're temperamental. They're not going to bite aggressive like they do come post-spawn and pre-spawn, okay? Now, what I'm going to start doing when we get into the October, I'm going to go back to my 1/0 hook, okay? And I want to kind of back it up so you guys can understand exactly what I was saying. This is a 1/0 hook. The one I was using in the previous videos, those are 2, and back in the spring, those are 1. So think of it like this. This is a tape measure, okay? In the middle you have 0. And this is a 1. This is a 2. We're going to the left of the scale, okay? Now, when I mentioned to you that in October I'm going to go to a 1/0 hook, I'm going to leave the 2, I'm going to leave the 1, and I'm going to the other side of the scale, which is a 1/0, which you'll see them in the store, in your tackle store. It'll have a 1 slash and a 0. That means 1/0. So that means that the higher the number goes on the 0 scale, this way to the right, so you got 1/0, 2/0, 3/0, the bigger the hook is. But if you go the opposite scale, okay, you go back this way, that means the smaller the hook gets, the larger the number. So if you got a 1 hook, 2 hook, 3 hook, it keeps getting smaller and smaller and smaller. When you're on the 0 scale, the opposite spectrum, the larger the hook, the larger the number, the larger the hook gets. It goes the opposite direction. So what I will be doing, I will be going from a 1 hook, you can see it, to a 1/0 hook. You can see the shank is longer, okay? And that ensures that once that hook set is in their jaw, that it stays, because it's a bigger hook. And you remember on the videos I was catching some, well, very few, but in the summertime, 10, 11, and 12. And by the way, just to let you guys know as well, a couple of times we ran out of SD card on my camera, and you always hear the fishing stories. I pulled in a 13, but it wasn't viewed. Actually, I pulled in a 12.5 and a 13, but we wasn't able to catch it on film, and I was very, very disappointed that I didn't get a chance to show you guys that, okay? But in the future, we're going to pull them out. I'm not even, unequivocally, I know we're going to do that, okay? So, again, I will be going back to the 1/0 hook. So remember the spectrum. Going to the right, the higher the higher the number, the smaller the hook. Going to the opposite end of the spectrum, the 1/0 area, the higher the number, the larger the hook. Okay, that's very important for you guys to remember. And remember, on the 1/0 side, you're going to see 1/0, 2/0. That's the 0 side. And on the other spectrum, you're just going to see one single digit, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And the higher the number, the smaller the hook gets. Now, they also come in different colors. For me, the jury's still out a little bit on whether, blue hooks, red hooks. Some people prefer red hooks, but they come in blue, they come in red, they come in green, just different colors. So I decided I'm going to try it, and I'm going to bring that to you guys moving forward in the future. Okay, I don't know if you can see that hook or not. Okay, now, also I want to tell you guys a little bit about the equipment that I'm using. All of my poles are 7-foot poles, okay? They have a long cork handle on them to fit in the rod holder, and I just have your basic ultralight reel, okay? I don't spend a lot of money, here at the Crappie Hole, we're just the guy next door. That's very important for you guys to remember that. I have my drag set pretty medium, okay? Because I know the crappie, all I'm doing is basically just setting the hook and pull them in the boat. Every now and again, when I get a 13 or one that's very, very feisty, I may have to tighten down on the drag a little bit, or I may hook a bass or a catfish. But I generally try to keep my drag so therefore I don't break and lose. Okay, so I got 4 of these on the boat. So that's what we use when we're spider rigging, and you can see the Slipshot. It's just your regular standard Slipshot, and I have it about 8 to 10 inches up above the hook. This is when I'm using the single hook system, okay? And I want you guys to remember to check with your local DNR, what are the specifications and regulations on your lake, okay? It's very important if you're fishing on a big reservoir, because that includes the DNR, so you have to check with the specs. But here on this private lake, I can fish as many poles as I want. I can fish as many hooks as I want. And when I say to you guys about hooks, I want to show you the illustration of what I'm talking about. When I say running 2 hooks per pole, a lot of times I'm fishing above brush pile, okay? And I get hung a lot. On that single hook action, the hook is always at the bottom. And come fall, post spawn, this is the action that I'm going to use. And this is a cane pole, by the way. But I wanted to show you guys the illustration of running 2 hooks. You can see I have the Arbidine hooks. These are number ones, okay? And I hook 2 minnows on a line, okay? So if I got four poles and I'm running 2 hooks per line, I buy probably 5-6 dozen of minnows because I cut through minnows very, very quickly, come pre-spawn and post-spawn. So this is how I tie it off. At the bottom, I have a bell sinker, okay? And what this bell sinker does, it travels along the brush pile, okay? So if I look on my depth finder and I know that I'm in 6 feet of water and I can see that brush pile that is at, 6 feet, I drop it down to 6 feet and I let that bell sinker travel through the brush pile, okay? Every now and again, that bell sinker, matter of fact, I'm gonna give you guys a closer look at it so you can see it. That bell sinker will get hung, okay? And all I have to do is just pull it backwards and it comes out. So it does not get hung. Also, this is my gauge, guys, to let me know that I'm on the bottom, okay? It's very, very important. And you'll be able to see it as it starts to crawl. You'll see your pole jumping. That'll let you know. And plus, when you put it in the water, where the bottom is, because you'll see the slack. So that's the system, guys, of running a 2-hook system. So when you're approaching a brush pile and those crappie see, two minnows on each line, and you got 4 poles, that looks like a school of minnows, and your catch ratio goes up double. Okay, so I wanted to share that with you guys so you'll be able to see that as well. One thing also I want to mention to you guys, it's rather warm out here today, is that it's very important for you to remember we're summertime fishing. Right now, here in Atlanta, we're 93 degrees.